Want to start recording right now.
Okay, so I want to, cool, I wanted to make sure I could see both of you. Well, good afternoon, Mr. Alexander, how are you?
That's fine, good afternoon.
All right, well, we want to start off by introducing ourselves.
Okay.
So you already know me, but my name is Anise Coopwood. I'm a senior, affiliated with Phi Alpha Theta, the History Honor Society, and BSU. You want to go, Abbey?
Yep. My name is Abbey. I'm a freshman. I am affiliated with Sigma Kappa sorority, the honor program on campus, and Phi Eta Sigma, the freshman honor society.
All right.
Oh.
Did you want to introduce yourself, Mr. Alexander?
Oh, yes. My name is Keith Alexander. I'm a 1970 alumni of Culver-Stockton College. I'm a Keith alumni, and that's about it.
All right. Well, we have a few questions here. We wanted to start off asking if you could tell us a little bit about your family.
Okay. I was born and raised in Buffalo, New York. I was born on September 22nd, 1947. I was the sixth oldest of 7 siblings. I have 3 older brothers between the ages of 15 to 19 years older than me. And then I had a sister that was 4 years older than me, then myself, and then my younger brother. He's 3 years younger than me. My father worked in a foundry. He ended up having dust in his lungs, ended up with silicosis of the lungs when I was in 8th grade. And we lost our house because he could not go back to work in the foundry anymore. And the only job he could get was a job as a security guard in a hotel. So we moved out of our house and we had to move into the project. Getting ready to go into my freshman year at a Catholic high school, my mom, who had a 6th grade education, didn't want me to go to public school. And so she ended up working for a lawyer named Mr. John Napier. So she cooked, sewed, ironed, and cleaned, and kept his 3 younger ones. My sister became the head of the house since my father was working. My mom had to go work. We didn't have a car, so my mom would have to take 2 buses to go to Mr. Napier. He lived on the other side of the city. And then because she got off late when he came home, it was 3 buses to come back home. But I was able to go to Bishop Ryan High School in Buffalo, New York for 4 years and graduate. My 3 older brothers, my oldest brother, he passed. He was 89 when he passed. He was in the Army. My second oldest brother, Carlos, he was 87. He just passed about 7 months ago. He was in the Air Force for 4 years. And my third oldest brother, Donald, he's alive. He's 84, and he was in the Army for 4 years. My sister, she passed. She would have been 76. She did not go to college because once she graduated from high school, she got a job at the post office so she could help support me going to the all-boys Catholic high school. And then, like I said, I'm 73 now, and my younger brother, he's 70. My sister, myself, and my younger brother, we ended up growing up in the projects for 5 years. My 3 older brothers, when they got out of the military, came back, they was able to get good jobs and have a family and have their own life and a family to take care of. And so my mother never depended on anyone but God, and she always knew that, through prayers and everything, you keep upright and do the right things, God is going to bless you. And it was so true back then, because back then things was cheap, but there wasn't many good jobs for Afro-Americans back there in the day, now that she had an education. And that's why she always specified education. And I was the first one in my family to graduate from college also. Living in the projects, I had a lot of uppers and downers, because the people in the projects thought that I was better than them because I went to a Catholic high school and they went to a public high school. But that never was the case. But just that's the feelings people had regarding Catholics back in the day, back in the 50s and 60s. Going to the all boys Catholic high school, I felt the same type of pressure because I was only black. Going to all boys Polish high school, and a lot of them didn't like me, especially when I came out for sports because I was taking somebody else's place. And so the Catholic priest there protected me and became more of a mentor and more of a father symbol to me because my dad, like I said, he had cirrhosis of the lungs at that time. So I had two good lives. I had my friends in the projects, and I had my friends at All Boys Catholic High School. And at an early age, I had to grow up real fast because I had to know who to be with, who not to be with. But thank God, my mother raised me to not judge a person by the color of their skin, but to judge a person by how they treat you. And so I always kept that in mind. So I was able to differentiate who I would be with and who I wouldn't be with.
All right. That was really interesting. So coming from that background, how did you get affiliated with Culver, and why did you choose Culver?
Okay, I didn't choose Culver. My mother chose Culver. My junior and senior year in the Catholic high school, I made all city in football, basketball, and baseball. And Coach Jesse Vale, he was the head coach and manager of the Joliet Explorers in Joliet, Illinois. And what happened was 1965, they won the championship. And he was promised more money. And they told him they changed their mind and broke his contract. So there was an opening at Culver-Stockton College for 1966. And so Jesse, because of his record and everything, and they would look for someone, he was able to get that position. And so Jesse, being a coach for a semi-pro team, he knew how to recruit. And he recruited individuals mainly from Illinois and Indiana. Was a guy on my team who was 2 years ahead of me from my high school, and he had told him about me. And Jesse came to Buffalo, New York, back in '66. The milkman would deliver your milk to your door. The cab drivers would do a rolling stop. They'll come up to the projects to the building. You got to jump out, but you got to pay them before you jump out. You got to jump out, and then you was on your own. We had a lot of male and female gangs back then, and Jesse wasn't scared. When the school gave him my address and everything, Jesse came late that night. I was outside playing basketball. He talked to his mom and told his mom that he wanted me to come to Culver. He offered me a scholarship and everything. And my mother was so happy because she didn't know what was going to happen to me. And she definitely didn't want me to go to Bethlehem Steel Factory because that's where 90% of the young men was going because a lot of them couldn't pass their ACT. But going to that Catholic high school, I was able to pass that ACT. And I didn't think it was no big deal until later on when I found out a lot of athletes were better than me in sports, but they couldn't pass that ACT test. So when I came home, my mother said, we're going out to dinner. I said, to dinner, what's a special occasion? She said, you're going to college. I said, going to college? What college? She said, Culver-Stockton College. I said, I ain't never heard of it. She said, well, head coach Jesse Bill just came here. He's giving you a scholarship. And in August, you can catch the train in Buffalo and go to Quincy, Illinois. So I said, So the next day I look at the newspaper, Midwest. I don't see no Culver-Stockton College in there for any sports, anything like that. I thought my mother, you got to be crazy. I don't even see Culver here in the newspaper. She said, Like I said, that's where you're going. So the end of my senior year, I played summer baseball with this team called Walls Memorial. And at the end of the summer, we all got drafted by the Detroit Tigers, Cy Williams. And I got drafted as a center fielder. And he's going to pay me $30,000 to come. And six of my friends got drafted by Detroit Tigers. The highest was $100,000 I pitched. So I told my mom, I said, I got a surprise for you. She said, what's the surprise? I said, we're going out to dinner. I said, well, we can't go out to dinner. No, we're going out to eat some hamburgers and french fries. She said, so what's the special occasion? I said, I just got drafted by Detroit Tigers. She said, I hate to tell you that, but you're not going. I said, but Mom, oh, I was so upset. I was so mad. And Cy Williams came to the house and begged my mom to let me come. He's going to make it. He's going to go to the majors. Detroit Tigers in 1966 had two minorities, Elroy Rodriguez, that played third base, and Willie Horton, that played right field. So they needed minorities real bad for Detroit Tigers. But my mother stayed stern. I didn't go. At the end of next year, my friends came home because there was so much prejudice and hatred in Texas that they couldn't take it. Spit on, called out of their name, couldn't eat in the restaurant, couldn't sleep in the hotel. All six of them came home to Buffalo, New York. And I was so happy. My mother made me take that football scholarship to Culver-Stockton College. Like I said, I didn't choose it. My mother did. And I had to obey my mother or I would get a real good whooping.
Sorry, I had a little trouble with the mute button.
Nobody.
So once you came to Culver, what was your involvement? I know already that you played football, but what was it like being a student athlete at Culver during that time?
Oh, it was in the beginning. It was kind of rough because we had about 100 guys that tried out for football, and it was only 4 blacks on the team. And once we got it down to who was starting and everything, I was upset because I wasn't starting on offense. I had a guy named Bobby Pacheco from Morton High School in Central Illinois that was ahead of me. And I was starting on defense with him. And the coach told me that Bobby could stop on a dime and shift, and nobody could get a clear hit on him, but you'll be second string halfback. After about 4 games, Bobby came to me and said, hey, man, we need you out here on the field with me on offense. He said, why don't you go to wide receiver? And I never thought about that. And I went to wide receiver, and that's where I made my name. And me and Bobby were the only 2 freshmen that started on offense and defense at Culver-Stockton College. The Sig Eps, the Lambda Chi, the ones that lived in the fraternity, we had great camaraderie on campus, on the field, they played sports. I mean, it was just great. The town of Canton was just the opposite. There was a lot of racial prejudice that we had to endure. And we didn't realize the trouble that we was causing for the Afro Americans that was living there in Canton because we only going to be there 1 to 4 years. 4 years, then we're gone. But we were disruptive, talking back. There'd be signs saying Negroes would go to the rear of the restaurant, water fountains for whites only, going to the store. You just got in the store. Might I help you? Might I help you? I haven't even seen anything yet, like I'm going to steal something. So there was big problems downtown Canton. We had a husband and wife that worked in the cafeteria, and we learned from them about the problems that we was causing and everything. And it took us a while to adjust of not getting emotional and getting upset when something was said to us only because of the color of our skin. We only had 2 police officers in Canton, and we called them Mutt and Jeff. That's all that we had. I remember we went to get a haircut, and we was 4.5, 5 hours in the barber shop. And when the last white person got up, I went up to get a chair, and he said, "Where you going?" He said, "Well, it's just us in here now. You know, we waited all this long to get a haircut." He said, "I don't cut niggas' hairs." I said, "What?" He said, "You know what?" I said, "I do not cut your kind of hair." And so we was so pissed, so upset. We wanted to throw bricks through his window. And we walked all the way back up there to the top of the hill, discouraged and upset. I remember in the basketball season when Texas Western beat Kentucky. Oh man, 5 blacks on the court at one time, first time in NCAA history. They they was no way that they were supposed to beat the University of Kentucky, and they beat them. Well, those people did not want us downtown. They did not, but us 4 blacks and some whites, we went down there laughing, talking about how Texas Western beat Kentucky and everything. I know they wanted to hang us, but we did not care because of that camaraderie that we had. Even though we came from different states and everything, on that football field, we have camaraderie, and we got it from Coach Jesse Bell because he didn't care what color skin you had. He had student athletes out there on the field, and we will protect one another because we were brothers. And I never forget the time we played. I think it was Graceland at their home, and we was started off. We were going downfield. We was scoring, and my friend Jimmy Edwards from Gary in Emerson High School, he was whipping up on that defensive tackle, and then the guy got mad and started calling Jimmy out his names, but Jimmy wouldn't respond. And then the guy spit it on Jimmy, and then Jimmy slugged him. Jimmy couldn't hurt him because he had his helmet on, and so the white hat through the yellow flag, 15-yard penalty, unsportsmanlike conduct. Jimmy had to go sit out a play or two. When he came on the sideline, Jesse said, "Jimmy, what happened? That's not like you. That's not your character. What happened out there?" Jimmy was just crying. He wouldn't say nothing. And he said, "Somebody gonna tell me something. What's going on?" And so he called a timeout. Pulled everybody over there where he was. He said, "Somebody tell me what happened to Jimmy, or else a lot of guys won't be on this team once we get back to Kobe." So the guy told him what happened. He said, "Oh no, ain't nothing like that can happen to one of my ball players." He said, "Jimmy, go to running back." Jimmy said, "Coach, I never played running back. Go to running back, Jimmy." He said, "Gus," he was our junior and he was captain of the team. He said, "Get the ball to Jimmy, and all 10 of y'all is going to hit that defensive tackle." And that's what we did. And we marched down the field. When the game was over with and we got back to Culver late at night, took us down to the field, had the assistant coach turn the lights on, had us all around the circle. He said, "I'm so upset with you guys because you allowed your fellow teammates to take that little abuse." He took a little penknife out and he cut his wrist. He said, "You see this? This is red blood. We all bleed red. We are all brothers on this field, off this field. And if you can't accept that, you can leave the team." And then he made us run 100-yard sprint so we couldn't run no more. And after everybody was down on the ground, we had just played the game, turned the lights off, and we had to find our way back into the locker room. And that made us come stronger together as one. I could go to Sigur's house. I could be out there talking and joking with them when other individuals on the campus couldn't, because the Sigur's didn't like them. But they like me. They like Jimmy Edwards. They like Jenkins Davis. They like Greg McLaughlin, us 4 blacks on the football team. That always stuck in my mind, you know. Like I said, off campus was a different story, but on campus, uh, it was like being at home. You know, professors would take you in if you didn't have money to eat, buy you a lunch or a breakfast, whatever, check on you, see how you doing with your grade. Your library there is a what? Sperry, Larry D. Thompson Library, because that's what Mr. Sperry did for Larry Thompson, because he was the only black in 1964. Mr. Sperry got him into art. He had one of the top 5 art collections in the United States, Larry D. Thompson. He was also ended up Assistant Attorney General of the United States in Atlanta, Georgia, Larry D. Thompson. And he's a Republican. What a great guy. This was Mr. Sperry. This is how the professor Burswick was, Predbo was, Holmes was. They cared about you, not about sports so much. They cared about you, about getting your education. That's what they cared about. And they showed it in their hearts, the way they talked to you, encouraged you to do better in your classes and everything. Because they wanted us to be better than our parents who wasn't able to go to college, couldn't afford it. And here we were, had an opportunity to go to college. And he said, don't waste it. Don't waste this time. This is precious time. You might not realize it right now, but when you get older, you're going to be thankful for your parents for the sacrifices that they did. And you're going to have to make sacrifices if you're married to your kids. So remember these times right here. All times is not good, all times is not bad. It's how you handle it.
So you talk a lot about the camaraderie between your fellow teammates. Do you still have connection with them? Have you all kept a lifetime friendship?
I talked to 5 last night. I talked to my buddy Roger Allen, who graduated in 1968. He would have made it in the NFL, but he got injured right before the last game of the season. I talked to Jack Grandy, who was our kicker. Ty Steele, he lived in Vermont. He's a peak like me. Dennis Steele. Dennis Steele is still coaching football, right? High school football right now at 72 years of age. Bob Hutton. Miller Bonder, Chico Compton. 25 plus white brothers of mine that I keep in touch with. And we keep in touch with one another constantly. And a little bit more Afro-American brothers. And I got a couple of Hawaiian brothers that I keep in touch with. One of the Hawaiian guys came to Culver in 1966. He did 4 years in the Air Force. He was 27 years old when he came to Culver in a football scholarship, Gary Kenishiro. Because of what I learned growing up in all-boys Catholic high school, transpired when I came to Culver. And one of my buddies that I went to high school with for 4 years came to Culver with me in 1966, Robert Wachowski. And I always had a good relationship with those that treated me fair, and I treated them fair. And it still goes on today. So the great relationships that we have even to today. How I could call and talk about anything. Man, you remember that time when Charlie Towns, man, came and we lived in the cottage down below the hill at Culver, and we didn't have no Christmas tree, and Charlie got an axe from somebody, and he went to Dean Lawson's house and cut the Christmas tree in front of his house and dragged it back to our house. And about an hour later, we saw the flashing lights of the police outside the house. Said, "What's going on here?" And the police came in with the dean, and the dean said, "Yeah, here's my tree right here. This is the tree that was in front of my house." And we looked at Charlie Towns. Charlie said, "Well, y'all wanted the tree, but we didn't tell you to cut down the tree in front of the dean's house." Oh my God, we was in trouble. We had to pay $50 a piece, which we didn't have that money. Excuse me. So we had to work overtime in the cafeteria, making 75 cents an hour. So we got that $50 to pay it back to Dean Lawson. And that's what Charlie Town did. And we look back at that day, we just laughed. We remember when we first met Charlie. Charlie said, "I ain't never talked to one of y'all before." Now we in line now, all the halfbacks in line. Charlie was a halfback. He said, "I ain't never talked to one of y'all before." So I'm turning around looking at the white guys because I'm the only black guy in the line, you know. And so I said, "Charlie, you need to get out more." He said, "No, I'm talking about you." I said, "Me?" He said, "Yeah, you're the first black person I ever talked to." I said, oh my God, Charlie, you definitely got to get out more. He became my best friend on the campus there at Culver, Charlie Town. So from Boise, Idaho. So yes, I have great relationship with the guys. I mean, homecoming every year we come, the ones that can make it, we sit, cry. Our wives know one another. Our wives know our kids. Their wives send me happy birthday, happy Father's Day. I send it to them, happy Mother's Day. We have a great relationship. I mean, I do. I was blessed with a lot of great friends, white, black, Japanese, Korean, throughout my whole life. I have been blessed. And it's all because of what I learned from my mother. It's all because of what I learned from my deceased wife. Because I met my deceased wife there at Culver. And the first time I saw her, I told her, we're going to get married. And she laughed at me and said, right, at Culver Hall. Culver Hall is the building next to the dome there. It used to be Culver Hall back in the 60s. And she had on a red dress. She had on brown shoes. She had a big afro. And from that point on, we was together. She taught me a lot about myself that I didn't know. And she was very patient with me. And taught me about God, taught me about Bible verses, taught me about tithing, taught me about you're a student athlete, not athlete, student. You're here to get your education. Football is just a means of you paying for that education. But you're here to get that piece of paper because that's something that they can't take away from you. Now, in 1966, there was 11 Afro-Americans, well, 10 Afro-Americans and a female from Africa. We were the first group to come to Culver-Stockton College in 1966. And for the first 2 years, I did very well as a pass receiver. Then I got big headed and I flunked out of Culver in 68. And I came home to Buffalo. And I got talked about because people saw me in the paper and everything and all the good things I was doing in sports at Culver. Now here I was home because I had flunked out. And so I became real humble and determined to come back to Culver. Well, that's the year that she came. And my good friend, Supreme Court Justice P. Scott Neville Jr., was my roommate. He said, man, there's a young lady here named Brenda Haley, man. She's real sweet. She's real nice, man. I think y'all two be a great couple. I was like, okay, yeah, right, Scotty. Never saw her. She never saw me. All we did was talk on the phone. And soon as I got back in August of 69, and they said that the students that came, I ran to the woman's dorm, Culver, and she was there, and she came down, and I had just, as she walked down those steps, that's when I said, we're going to get married. And she was saying, yeah, right. And it was true. It was love at first sight. I went from a D plus student to a B plus student. I knew how to read the Bible. Psalm 91 was her favorite song, which became my favorite song. She taught me how to hold my emotions on the inside. We were going to the student until the lady would come and say, can I help you? And if I acted like I was going to say something to the lady, she would pinch me in my rear. You know, that's me, shut up, be quiet, you know. And spent some money on clippers and went to Quincy, got some clippers, and she lined my fro for me. So I didn't have to worry about a barber no more. And she just, and my coach, Dr. Jack McBride, he was like my dad. And he would say, Alexander, why do you keep looking up to the top of the hill? And they say, his girlfriend is up there. Girlfriend, what did I tell you guys about having girlfriends? You're not supposed to have girlfriends. You're here to play football first. That was him. And it got to a point where I kept looking up down the hill. I was forgetting to play. So after practice, he would make me run 100-yard dashes so I could run no more. And she would say, now I want to ask you this. How come every day you run 100-yard dashes after practice, and everybody else walk off the field. And I wouldn't tell her. And then one of my friends told her, because he keeps looking up there on the hills getting to play. And she said, well, I'm going to stop coming to practice so that he ain't got to run all these 100-yard dashes after practice. And I told her, that's all right. I'll pay that price. I don't mind paying that price. I said, because when I went in and told him it's education first and football, I said, education, God is first, education is second, she was third, and football was fourth. Oh, he had a history with me. He was so mad at me. Threw me out of his office. But I did not care because I started seeing the fruits of my labor, the blessings that God had bestowed on me. And that was the best year I had in football. It was 1969, on and off the field, because of her.
So that was amazing. That kind of gives you hope, right? Hey, Abby,
Definitely.
how are we on time?
Oh, we are good. I got a notification from Zoom saying that they removed the time limit, so we're good.
Nice. All right. I wanted to ask you, how active have you been with the college since you graduated?
Oh, wow. When I graduated, well, I didn't graduate, well, 1970, the Vietnam War was going on. And so my name had came about, and I was AWOL. And 1970, I was drafted by San Diego Chargers and Kansas City Chiefs because Jesse Bell, who was the coach and manager of Julius Forest, they was affiliated with San Diego Chargers. And so he's the one, they gave him my name and everything, and they saw my statistics and everything. But I couldn't go because, like I said, Vietnam War, I got drafted. And so I ran to the Air Force. Air Force put me in the reserves for the 6 months the Army was looking for me, and then brought me active duty. And so I was hurt. I mean, I was really hurt because my dream was playing in the NFL. And I knew I was good enough to play offense or defense in the NFL. And now that dream was squashed. But Brenda told me, you can't play sports all your life. And maybe this is a good thing for you. And everything is going to be all right. You know, there are going to be brighter days for you, which I didn't really believe. And then it came to a point where I had to go to Vietnam. And I told her, I said, oh, man, this is your last year in college at Culver, and I got to go to Vietnam. I said, I don't know if we're going to be together because I'm going to Vietnam and I might get killed. And she said, well, if you don't marry me now, I might not be here when you come back. And we went downtown Chicago and got married July 17th, 1971. And I went to Vietnam. And I came back early in time for her graduation, 1972. And so all my friends were wondering where I was. I said, well, I said, oh, you're in the Air Force. That Air Force uniform, right? Yeah, in the Air Force. He said, so what are you and Billy going to do? But so we married. We was married for a whole year. We didn't even tell our parents that we was married. And that started my journey. And stayed in the military 23 years, Japan, Germany, and states in between. And about 1999, when I retired from the Air Force, we came here to Chicago. And I met this young lady named Kelly Cox. She was a recruiter for Culver-Stockton College. And she had heard about me. A lot of the white guys who I played with knew me, said, he's a real good guy. He's a dedicated Culver-Stockton individual. And so she asked me if I would come help her in the Chicago area, in the suburbs, in recruiting. And that's how it started. And my wife was the big one that pushed me. Said, this is our way of giving back to Culver. Because if it wasn't for Culver, we wouldn't have met one another and got married. She said, this is our way of giving back. And so I did it for free. I did it for about 20 years for free. I asked for gas, hotel room, nothing. And Kelly, about 2010, 2011, decided she's going to get a doctorate degree. And she asked, if it's all right. I said, yeah, because I had everything covered underhand. So I worked by myself then. They said over that time frame, about 20 years, We had put through about 100 plus students at Culver-Stockton College. They, I only had one individual that did not graduate from Culver-Stockton College, but he did graduate in 4 years. His name was Lucky Odassi, 6'8" basketball player at Culver. His parents was Nigerian, and they didn't really care for Afro Americans. And he had two older brothers that were 6'8" that played for UIC in Chicago. So Lucky loved Culver. Kelly Thompson, the president, oh, she loved him. She loved Lucky. Well, the parents refused the senior year to give him any more money to come to Culver. And so Lucky had to leave. And Lucky went to Governor State College here in the suburbs, and all his credits went with him. And Lucky graduated 4 years, 3 at Culver, 1 at Governor State, and he's a salesman for this big company that sells knives and forks and Tupperware and stuff like that. Real good guy. But all the rest of the students, they all graduated within 4 years, including my niece, Rachel Bennett, 2 years ago. She's an elementary school teacher, including Christopher Hammond. He's working in marketing, including Thaddeus Newby, who's getting his master's degree now in psychology, and it was Dominic Jackson, and there was another female. That was my last group of students that was sent. Oh, and Monica Clegger, my next door neighbor's granddaughter. They graduated from Culver. That was my last group, and I'm so proud of it. I love doing what I did. I love talking to students. I love talking about Culver. I knew more about Culver than I ever did because I did research on Culver. 2016, Dr. Quincy Moore, who graduated from Culver, moved in my area. And so I got him to come with me to college fairs. So you're not supposed to leave behind your table at the college fairs, okay? So Quincy would go out and talk among the students and the parents. And he would say, so what college are you going to? What do you want to major in? You are going to college, aren't you? Well, criminology, law. Well, my cohort over there, classmate, Kilo Bennett, we have mock trials at our college against other Division I schools. He said, I think you need to go over there and talk to him. And that's what Quincy would do. We started getting more and more students. I started sending, I used to send anywhere from 15 to 25 cards from each college fair. I was sending 40 to 50 cards from each college fair. And I enjoyed it. I loved it. And then I started meeting other HBCU colleges and Division I colleges, meeting their representatives that was there at the college fair. We would send students to one another. Culver I think has this. Arkansas Pine Bluff has this. UIC here in Chicago has this. And I had a lot of met a lot of great people, you know. So I really enjoyed that, doing that for Culver. And like I said, and I would go to Gary, Indiana, because of money. Culver had to reduce the areas where they could go and recruit. And one of them was Gary, Indiana, and the other one was the south suburbs of Chicago. But I had made a name for myself, and these schools was calling me. And so I said, ain't no problem, I'd be there. So I would go because I was a regular, you know. And I enjoyed doing what I did, talking to students, especially about Culver. And Culver did help me. Whatever I needed from the admissions office, no questions asked. They gave it to me. So in that aspect, I really, you know, we help one another hand in hand.
Really interesting. Christopher and Monica are two of my really good friends.
Are they?
Yeah. And then we're all from Chicago. So
yeah,
really
Monica's
cool.
grandfather lived next door to me, and He passed the year Monica graduated. Because me and him were going to go up there, we were going to dance all night long with Monica. Monica's mom, Tanya, moved into her grandfather's house. She lived next door to me. Yeah, Monica, oh man, that's my girl. She's out in Texas now.
Yep, yep. So, it's been a very great time listening to you. I always love talking to you. The last question I have: do you have any advice for current Culver students now?
Yes, I do. One of the big advice: learn about the history of your college. You know, every college has a history. As a freshman, my history teacher, Mr. Lee, I would go down to the library and I would read up about it. Who the first president of Culver-Stockton College was, which was Mr. Shannon. Culver-Stockton College in the beginning was not named Culver-Stockton College. That didn't happen to like 1900 or something. It used to be called Christian University, and in the Civil War, they used Culver-Stockton College. It's Henderson Hall now, but back in the day, it was Old Main, and they used that as a barracks, as a prison, and as a cafeteria back during the Civil War. And the faculty and staff from Culver-Stockton College, some had to work with the Confederates, and some had to work with the Yankees back during the day. And it's all there in the history, and it's very interesting. And they should look at the history of Culver-Stockton College because they played a vital role back then during the Civil War. The second thing is look to see who your alumni are, because if I ask who Mary D. Thompson is, or if I ask who Supreme Court Justice P. Scott Neville Jr. is, or if I ask who Mr. Redmond is, I don't know if the students would know who they were. And these are notable alumni at Culver-Stockton College. Or like Michelle Crider, opera singer, black, female, or Lieutenant General McCoy. They wouldn't know about them. Know your history, because it's important. Because one day you might run across them, and say, "Oh, I remember you. You're an alumni of Culver-Stockton College." I have ran across several here in Chicago. Had Culver-Stockton on the bumper sticker. They saw me with my Culver-Stockton jersey on and said, "My daughter graduated from Culver-Stockton College. When did you graduate?" She said, "What a great coincidence. You're the first person to see from Culver-Stockton College since I've been living here in Homewood Flossmoor." So know your history. Also, get that piece of paper. It's more important now than as it was back in my day. That piece of paper is going to make a big difference for you, because you can't get a good job and support a family if you don't have that paper. My kids, me and my wife were not only mentors but parents for our kids. My wife had 3 master's degrees. My wife, before she passed, was the director of Human Services Rehabilitation for the Blind, first black director for them. My kids, we took them everywhere with us. We made sure that they got the best education like me and their mother did. So my daughter got a doctorate degree. She's the first black female analyst at the University of Chicago. My son, Reverend Keith John Alexander, he's working on his master's degree. He graduated from Oral Roberts University. My daughter, twin girls, they're juniors at University of New Mexico. One going to be a pediatric doctor. The other one going to be a physical therapist. The younger brother, he's at Carlton, Cal Fullerton College in California on a football scholarship. He didn't want to come to Culver because he got a D1 scholarship because he had the grades. And my son, he has three younger children, 6, 10, and 12. So education is important. It's real important. And I'm glad that my grandkids are following in the steps of their grandparents, of their mother and father, because that's what is required. And it's not hard to achieve. And always stay with positive people. The white guys that I hung with in high school, the white guys from Culver, all positive people, and we help one another. And it's such a good feeling when you can see racial issues on TV and call up Tom Hensey, and we be talking about racial issues and all that, and we laugh about what it was back then, 66 to 70 on campus of Culver-Stockton College, and how we became the best of friends. It's important. It's important. Never judge a person by the color of their skin, and there's no such thing as can't, because God is always there. And I've been through a lot of trying times in my life where I didn't think I was going to make it. But because of my wife and the faith that she bestowed in me and the prayers and the blessings her and her family had for me, here I am, 73 years of age, and the blessings that has bestowed on me. So that's what I tell the Culver-Stockton students. And come together as one. Work together as one. Everybody ain't going to see eye to eye. Back in that day, we didn't all see eye to eye. But at the end of the day, we worked out our differences. The next day we see one another, we're talking one another. So that's what I tell the students to do.
Sorry, I'm in the library.
Oh, there's no problem whatsoever.
However, thank you so much for the advice and
you're so welcome.
talking
so
to
welcome.
us. Yeah, and honestly, want to really thank you because you really gave us BSU 2 years ago the idea to even do this. So thank you so much for that as well.
You're welcome.
Yeah. So
and look, anytime that you guys are gonna call and do a Zoom, there's no problems with that. Anytime any of the students there come to the Chicago area, call us. Introduce us to Supreme Court Justice Dr. Quincy Moore and a whole bunch of others that's here that's doing extremely well. And then hear from the ones that graduated like Monica and Rachel Bennett and Kristen Hammonds, and hear about their experiences also, because it'll help make you a better person, You see another part of life that you might have read about, but now you hear from people that went through that life. It helps make you a better person and possibly help make them a better person too.
Yeah. Well, that's all I have. So
okay.
Thank you again. And we can go ahead and sign out now. Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Enjoy the rest of the evening this weekend.
All right. You too.
All right. Thanks, you too.
Bye now.